The cruel joke was that he never knew when to stop smiling, even when he was the reason I wanted to disappear. The even crueler joke? That same smile, the one I swore I hated, was now the reason my chest felt like it might split open. It all started with a list taped on the wall of the school gym. Dance partners. Mandatory for juniors. Names paired off neatly, like destiny on printer paper. And there, right next to mine, written in bold, smug black ink. Tyler Green. Tyler freaking Green. Quarterback. King of sarcasm. The guy who'd made an Olympic sport out of turning me into the punchline of every joke in homeroom. The whispers started before I could breathe. People nudged shoulders, pointed. My palms grew damp as I stared at the list. It had to be some kind of mistake. But no. A shadow fell across me, and I didn't even have to look up to know. That cologne, something expensive and sharp, gave him away. Tyler leaned close, lips brushing my ear in that way that made my skin crawl and burn at the same time. Guess you're stuck with me, partner. I wanted to shove him away. I wanted to scream. Instead, my throat tightened, and my voice cracked out something pathetic like, "This isn't funny." His grin only deepened, but behind it, I don't know. For the first time, I thought I caught something raw flickering in his eyes, gone in a heartbeat. The rehearsal space reeked of old sweat and varnish. Banners from long-forgotten championships drooped from the rafters. And there we were, two mismatched souls pretending to move like one. "Left foot?" I muttered, pulling back as his hand brushed too close to my waist. "You're the worst teacher." He shot back, laughter in his voice. But his hand stayed steady, grounding me when my sneakers nearly slipped on the polished floor. I hated how natural it felt. The truth? Tyler had always terrified me, not because of what he said, but because I never understood why I cared so much about his words. Why his teasing felt like it carried weight, like it mattered. "You don't even like me," I blurted once, mid-spin, my voice sharper than I meant. "So why pick me?" The gym went quiet, except for the squeak of our shoes. Tyler's smirk faltered. For once, he didn't have a comeback ready. Finally, he whispered, almost too low to catch, "Maybe that's the problem." The days blurred. Practice after practice, his hand found my shoulder, my waist, my palm. Each touch left a bruise on my resolve. He was still Tyler, still cocky, still tossing his charm around like confetti. But in the quiet in-between, when no one was watching, his guard slipped. I caught him staring once, his jaw tight, his eyes unreadable. I told myself it didn't mean anything. But then came the night of the storm. Thunder rattled the gym windows. The rehearsal canceled early. Most people had left already, but I stayed behind, shoving books into my locker. The lights flickered once, twice. "Scared of the dark?" His voice, low and teasing, echoed down the hallway. I spun, heart lurching. Tyler leaned casually against the lockers, rainwater dripping from his hair, his Letterman jacket clinging to broad shoulders. "Don't you ever get tired of following me?" I snapped. He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped closer, so close the air thickened. His hand came up, not to shove or mock, but to trace the metal edge of the locker beside my head. Trapped, I couldn't look anywhere but at him. His grin was gone. "Do you really think I tease you just because I don't like you?" His voice was quieter than I'd ever heard. I swallowed hard, searching his eyes for the lie. But all I saw was fear. The same kind of fear that had kept me silent all these years. And just like that, the storm outside didn't seem nearly as loud as the one inside my chest. The dance floor was alive with music, students laughing, swaying, phones flashing. But for me, everything slowed to silence. Tyler stood across from me, his hand extended, his chest rising and falling like he'd just sprinted the length of the football field. "Dance with me," he said. It wasn't a tease. It wasn't a command. It was a plea. For weeks, I told myself this was nothing. Just practice. Just school requirements. Just Tyler being Tyler. But right now, under the soft shimmer of fairy lights, there was no just about it. His eyes were naked, stripped of smirks, and I realized with a jolt that he wasn't performing for anyone else. He was standing there for me. "Tyler," My voice cracked. My throat was thick with everything I'd wanted to say and everything I was terrified to admit. He took a step closer, then another, until the heat of him pressed against the fragile space between us. His hand didn't waver. I'm sorry. For all of it. The teasing, the jokes. I didn't know how else to. God. I didn't know how to handle this. His voice trembled, raw and unpolished. You scare me. Because you make me want more than I've ever admitted to anyone. The crowd around us blurred into shadows. My pulse pounded in my ears. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to shield myself from the wreckage that confession might cause. But his hand was still there, open, waiting. And for the first time, I let myself believe. I slid my hand into his. The music swelled just as he pulled me into the dance. It wasn't perfect, our steps fumbled. My shoe nearly caught on his, but it didn't matter. His palm against mine, the press of his hand at my back, the way he breathed like I was the only thing anchoring him, it was everything. He leaned down, his breath brushing my cheek. I meant every word. Then prove it, I whispered. So he did. His lips found mine, not rushed, not performative, but desperate and trembling. The world gasped around us, but I didn't care. For the first time, I didn't care about whispers or stares or rumors waiting to bloom. I only cared about the boy who had spent years hiding behind laughter, finally brave enough to be honest. Later, outside under the cool night sky, we sat on the steps of the gym. The air smelled like rain, and the laughter of our classmates spilled faintly through the doors. Tyler's jacket was draped over my shoulders, his arm warm against mine. I was such an idiot, he said, eyes on the dark horizon. I thought if I teased you, I could keep you at arm's length. Like if I made you hate me, then maybe I wouldn't have to deal with. He trailed off, biting his lip. With what? I asked softly. He turned then, his face stripped of bravado. With the fact that you were the only person who ever mattered. The confession cracked something inside me. Years of confusion, hurt, longing, all of it spilled into the silence between us. You hurt me, I admitted. My voice shook, but it was steady enough to carry the truth. And I don't know if I can forget that overnight. He nodded, his jaw tight. I don't expect you to, but I'll wait, as long as it takes. Just let me try to be better. The sincerity in his voice pressed against my ribs, suffocating and comforting all at once. I stared at him, at the boy who had once been my tormentor and was now sitting vulnerable, waiting for a verdict. And against all odds, I felt hope. Weeks passed. Dance rehearsals gave way to the final performance. When we stepped onto the stage, spotlights bathing us in gold, I wasn't just dancing with Tyler Green, the boy who had teased me. I was dancing with the boy who had confessed his fear, who had asked for forgiveness, who had chosen to stand beside me despite everything. Our movements weren't flawless, but they were real. Every spin, every clasp of hands, every lift of his arm guiding might wasn't choreography anymore. It was a conversation, a promise. When the music ended, applause thundered through the auditorium. Tyler's hand tightened on mine, and I squeezed back, just once, enough for him to understand. We weren't perfect. We weren't healed overnight, but we were trying. Together. On the last night of the school year, we lay on the hood of his car, parked just beyond the city lights. The stars stretched wide above us, infinite and forgiving. Do you ever think, he murmured, that maybe we were meant to end up here? No matter how messy it got. I turned my head, watching him. His profile glowed under the moonlight, softer than I'd ever seen. Maybe, or maybe we just fought hard enough to get here. He smiled. Not the cocky grin I used to hate, but something quieter, more fragile. Either way, I'm glad it's you. My chest ached, but this time it was the kind of ache I wanted to keep. So I whispered back, me too. And under the stars, for the first time in forever, I wasn't confused anymore. I was exactly where I wanted to be. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.